You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network. For more quality options programs, visit www.theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app, available in iTunes and on Google Play.
Bitcoin, Ether, Solana, Doge, and more. Cryptocurrencies and digital assets are taking the financial world by storm. This exploding market provides everything a savvy trader needs: volatility, volume, and liquidity, provided you know how to find it. That's where we come in. Welcome to the Crypto Rundown. Each week, we'll break down the latest trading activity, trends, and developments throughout the world's leading crypto derivatives markets. If it's moving the crypto markets, then you'll find it on the Crypto Rundown. The Crypto Rundown is brought to you by Amber Data. If you're entering the digital asset class, you'll need access to granular on-chain and market data from multiple venues to power research, trading, risk management, and compliance. Amber Data delivers comprehensive data and insights into blockchain networks, crypto markets, and decentralized finance, empowering financial institutions to apply traditional finance methods to digital assets. Amber Data eliminates the infrastructure setup, integration challenges, and maintenance headaches to access digital asset data, reducing cost and time to market to enter the digital asset class. Learn more and download their digital asset data guide at www.amberdata.io. Now it's time to dive into the exploding world of crypto derivatives. It's time for the Crypto Rundown.
All right, everybody, that music means we are back. It is Monday. Time to delve into the deep, the wild waters of the crypto market, see what's lighting it up. My name, of course, Mark Longo from theoptionsinsider.com, as well as from the network upon which all of you were binging last year and continue to do so into the new year. Thanks for that. Remember, if you want to check out even more, theoptionsinsider.com/pro, including the upcoming Volatility Deathmatch 2.0. 2 men will enter. Only one will leave. Alive? Victorious? We'll find out. Check it out. theoptionsinsider.com/pro to learn more as we learn who's joining us on this second episode of the new year. Pleased to welcome back on our old pal, Mr. Bill himself, a.k.a. Bill Ulivieri, from Cenacle Capital Management. Mr. Bill, welcome back to the Crypto Rundown for the first time in the new year, and indeed, Happy New Year to you, sir.
Thank you. Happy New Year to you too and to your beautiful family. Thank you for having me back on today.
I don't care what people say about cutting off the new year after, 10 days into January or whatever. I say those people are fools. I will wish you a new year on the 12th, and I will enjoy it, sir.
Yes. Well, I hit up my Planet Fitness membership today, so I'm good to go.
There you go. Oh, you did it for the new year. So you're already beyond. Don't they say most people quit their resolutions by the 9th or 10th? So you're already exceeding expectations. Well done, sir.
It's the contrarian in me.
Yes.
What can I say?
Yes, there we go. Let's see if we got some contrarians in the crypto market, shall we, listeners, as we kick things off with the Bitcoin breakdown.
It's time to explore the latest trending activity, trends, and developments across the world's leading crypto market. It's time for the Bitcoin Breakdown.
All right, everybody, let's get into a little bit of hot BTC action, and it is looking pretty interesting out there. On our show last week, we were flirting with a 95, a little bit north of 94,000 on the show last week. So a lot of the bulls out there were breathing a sigh of relief. Not quite at that level to kick off the show this week, but north of 90K. So if you're hanging out in the hodler camp, you can cling to that. A little bit shy of 92,000 right now. 91,755 as we kicked off the show. So down nearly 2,500 handles on the show this week. Mr. Bill, it's been a little bit since we checked in with you. It's been really since November of last year. So it's been a while since we've checked in with you on all things crypto. Walk us through your thoughts on how Bitcoin went out this past year. Obviously down, so not quite the level a lot of the hodlers were hoping for. Then a little bit of an upswing last week before giving some back again this week, sir. What's catching your eye in the world of all things BTC?
I got to be honest with you, Mark, it's been a little frustrating. I mean, you and I have been talking about these massive upside gains in Bitcoin, and I'm not saying that we haven't really done well since 2020 and, in the lows in crypto winter 2022, 2023-ish, right after the Fed was raising rates and started to cut back. But I'll be honest with you, all the talk of the 4-year cycle and the halvening and this incredible adoption, BlackRock, Michael Saylor, the U.S. government, Genius Act, Clarity Act, all these things. I just a little frustrated that it's not like 175, 250,000 per token. So I'm just going to bide my time here and hang out. Good things happen to those people who wait. But it's a little frustrating. I'll be honest with you. I thought we would see more, but this time in the cycle.
Well, the other folks who are frustrated right now are folks who were big proponents of Bitcoin as the digital gold last year. Of course, we saw gold have the mother of all years last year, just an absolutely explosive year. Meanwhile, Bitcoin finishes with a whimper, not just giving up all of its gains, but closing down on the year. So, Bill, where do you fall on that heated debate, the old Bitcoin as digital gold, as we kick off the new year, sir?
Well, you're 100% right, Mark, and that is the gold and silver bugs absolutely had their heyday. But I've seen this before. I've seen this in the mid to late 80s. I saw it in the 90s. We saw it in the early-ish to mid 2000s, where the clock is right twice a day, and that's how I feel these gold bugs are. I mean, yes, they had their day. They've got bragging rights. I'll let them have it. But I still believe that if you go back historically in time to the 1869 gold panic of the United States, gold has been the worst performing inflation hedge / asset class known to man. And you know what's happening right now? People are minting, mining, producing gold. And they're not doing that with Bitcoin because you can't create any more of it. So my value proposition of gold versus Bitcoin still tilts the scales in the way of Bitcoin. But I am going to let my gold bug friends have their day in the sun.
Yeah, they don't have too many years, Mr. Bill, where gold's up north of 50% in a year. So you got to let them have their moments, sir. And silver, my God, it's been since the Hunt brothers. So you're really going even farther back for silver. So yeah, we're talking.
I know.
Wild times out here. Are you still a believer? It might be a fun crypto question of the week. Are you still a believer in the Bitcoin as digital gold? Were you ever a believer in that hypothesis?
I think it was for a while, for sure, in the beginning, when I first fell down the rabbit hole, I guess you could say. And then, listen, we thought that Bitcoin was digital gold, and then it kind of really wasn't. Bitcoin just took off and beat the snot out of gold in terms of returns. And then we thought it was a risk-off asset, and then it just collapsed along with technology back in, when interest rates were getting jacked up, and pre-COVID, post-COVID. So, I think Bitcoin is, looking more and more like a traditional asset where it's responding to liquidity by the Federal Reserve and the money, the printers getting turned on. I mean, the 3-year cumulative return of Bitcoin is 406%, and gold is still 138. So over the last 3 years, 1 year, we can't say we have any bragging rights, but still, Bitcoin and gold are really unique outside the system assets. And I don't know. We'll see how it goes, Mark. Honestly, I wish I knew. I can't. Nobody knows.
Well, get working on your crystal ball, sir. You might need it for the end of the show. I'm just saying, hint of what's to come, listeners. But before we get there, let's get out to the land of our friends over there at Amber Data, pro.amberdata.io, the place to go to check out the free GUI. You can't beat the price. It's free, and you can't beat the data on the crypto front. So check it out for yourselves. If you did that, listeners, you would see the weekly vol in Bitcoin right now coming back to earth a little bit. It was at a 44 on the show last week, a little bit shy of 38 right now, 37.8. Same deal on the monthly vol as well. We were about 43 and a quarter on the show last week, 39 even this week. So coming in about 4 and a quarter points there. And hanging out a little bit farther down the curve, right around 6 months, at a 45.6 on the show last week, 45.2 this week. So not a huge evolution on the longer term Bitcoin vol front. Skew-wise, though, is where there's a lot of information to be gleaned in all things Bitcoin options. Was there a lot of evolution there this week? Well, let's find out, listeners. Out to the weekly skew, we were negative 2.6 on the show last week. Negative 1 3/4. So actually coming back up a little bit, which is kind of interesting. Going out to the 30-day vol and indeed skew level listeners. That is coming back down a little bit. Negative 2.75 on the show last week. Negative 3.25 this week. And then, of course, hanging out where the hodlers hang out. 6-month skew was at a negative 3 last week. Negative 1.75 this week. So we're kind of moving all over the place in this skew, which is kind of wild and not something we see very often. Mr. Bill, anything catching your eye in the world of Bitcoin vol this week, sir?
You know, I just think it back when you and I were having conversations where Bitcoin vol was, you know, it's 82 up to 120, and the upside skew was positive, you know, like a commodity skew back in those days. And now here we are. Bitcoin implied volatility is just a few ticks over JP Morgan, Robinhood, United Healthcare, like all these big companies that you and I would put into the widows and orphans or in the slow camp of things. And so I just find that evolution is actually, frankly, pretty amazing. And, you know, maybe that's why a lot of traders are seeking the higher vol names, you know, like the Bitmine immersion and the double and triple beta things that you and I talked about in past. But I am absolutely shocked at how low implied volatility is in Bitcoin. I mean, it's really, that has arrived. That's been something that surprised me.
Let's see if our old pal IBIT has some surprises up its sleeves for Mr. Bill. Hanging out a little bit north of 52 right now, 52.1 as we kicked off the show. Puts it down about 1.5 points from where it was this time last week. The ADV also coming back to earth a little bit as well. It is kind of that seasonally quiet volume time out there. It was north of or close to 1 million contracts a day not too long ago. It was right around 750,000 this time last week, coming back a little more this week, down to about 640,000 contracts a day. Still a lot of paper. That's down about 129,000 contracts a day from this time last week. Once we see Bitcoin really rocking and rolling again, we'll probably see that ADV go back up. A little light today, only 422,000 contracts on the tape out there. And the hot option in IBIT today looks like it's 15,000 of the Feb 85s. Interesting. Feb 85s. Average price for these, a whopping 3 cents. Worth noting, there is some OI on this strike, so it is possibly closing. Someone's probably maybe bailing on what's left of their Feb 85s, taking their 3 cents and running. Also worth noting, about 15,000 of the Feb 25 puts going up today as well. Those going up for a whopping 2 cents. Those could potentially be closing as well. So those are both interesting options and strikes. Kind of interesting that they're both about the exact same volume level today as well. So potentially, if it looks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, it might be a duck. Mr. Bill, does that float your boat? The 85.25 strangle in IBIT, sir, for a whopping 5 cents.
Well, I know, yeah, that is pretty crazy. I'll be honest with you, but I will say this about that. Do you remember back in 1987, we had a broker that was in the OEX pit. His name was Bob Lerman, and every day I saw him on the Metro train, he would use the hand signals that we use on the trading floor and would say YOV. I'm like, Bobby, why are you always flashing me the 3 letters YOV? He goes, YOV stands for Year of Volatility. And that's what we saw in 1987. And I feel that way today. I feel that we're going to have an incredibly, ridiculously insane volatility in 2026, but I don't think it's going to happen by February. So that doesn't really do much for me, Mark. Those strike prices are just so far out of range. If I was short them, yeah, got to cover them and you got to deploy your capital someplace else. But wow, that is an opening trade.
Yeah, I did a little digging while you're talking. Looks like it's actually a Feb 58.85 call spread versus the Feb 25 put that they took off for a whopping 2 cents, Mr. Bill. So I guess they got maybe a little bit too big for their britches, and now they're trying to salvage the 2 cents that remain, sir, at this point.
Yeah. All the juice has been squeezed out of that trade.
Yeah, that's so there you go, listeners. If you want to buy some wild strangles in IBIT, perhaps that one floats your boat. Now, speaking of IBIT, Mr. Bill, it's been an interesting talking point we've had of late. I'm curious your thoughts on this, as well as a long-time options trader and market maker and risk manager. You know, ever since we launched this show, ever since Bitcoin derivatives really became a thing, there was this persistent bid to the upside. It was because all the hodlers were out there. That's what was trading, and who was trading really the Bitcoin derivatives, and they all wanted to be long, so they wanted to bid up the upside. So we saw the premium to the calls. a discount to the puts. These days, post IBIT, it seems like it's a very different story. It has opened the kimono to a lot of new traders out there, and it kind of makes me wonder if we've seen the last of the days of the really explosive premium to the upside for Bitcoin options, at least for the near future. What do you think about that, Mr. Bill? Has IBIT maybe democratized Bitcoin options a little bit, maybe changed the way these things trade going forward?
Oh, I think you're 100% right. I mean, Bitcoin was supposed to be, part of its value proposition was the fact that it was outside the traditional financial and trading system. And it was always the fear of the upside. You're always worried about the upside explosion because, we saw it in so many years past. But like you're right. Now that Bitcoin has become now that that chicken is inside the hen is inside, the fox is inside the hen house. In other words, Bitcoin and crypto have come inside traditional TradFi. We're seeing traditional regular implied volatility skew here. I mean, we had the downside vol in IBIT at 62 and the upside call at 42. Even lower than that. So you're right. It's sad in a way because it was fun while it lasted. I mean, those upside call premiums for people that were permables, able to buy, IBIT or to buy some of the to trade the derivative futures and things. That was really, I think, a glorious time that I don't think we're ever going to see that again.
A glorious time indeed. Listen, let's see if we got some other glory waiting for us. And some of the other hot Bitcoin related names you folks like to trade, including Mara. Mara popping a little bit today, about 10 3/4. So that puts it up about 25 cents from where it was this time last week. May not sound like a lot, but for those of you who've been dealing with some red out there, you'll take whatever green you can get. Putting up about 150,000 contracts already today against an ADV of 223,000. It's actually up 12,000 from this time last week, which is kind of interesting. And in terms of the hot Mara action out there, it looks like it's the 12 calls expiring this week, lighting it up 19,000 times today for a whopping 8 cents. This is another one where there's some size OI there, so someone could be washing their hands of what remains. Also got about 16,000 of the 11 calls, a little bit closer to home. Those trading for 22 cents. All of that, of course, expires at the end of the week. Mr. Bill, what are your thoughts on a little bit of upside in Mara? Does this one float your boat at all, sir?
No, I got to be honest with you. I'm not a huge Mara fan. I mean, if you go back to what is the 5-year return? So if you take whatever kind of distributions Mara has given to their holders, it's down 44%, including the distributions over the last year, but up 108 in the last 3 years. So, I tell you, Mark, I think I'm going to, it might be fun for some short-term wheel trading in Mara, but it's not like something I do a lot of. And I think my clients have enough volatility in the portfolios with MicroStrategy's, Coinbase, Circle, and things like that. So we've talked about Mara before. I think it's fun to look at. It's fun to trade. I think you just got to keep chipping away. I mean, you got to really love it, right? It's like the child that kind of disappoints you in a way because you love them even though they don't always meet your expectations.
Well, let's see if things meet our expectations as we continue to explore the altcoin universe.
It's time to move beyond Bitcoin and find out what's moving the rest of the crypto marketplace. It's time to boldly venture into the altcoin universe.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Altcoin Universe, the portion of the show where we explore everything lighting up the tape outside of the big dog, which is Bitcoin, except for right now when we talk about market cap. Last week, it cost you about $15 billion to break into the top 10 from a market cap perspective. A little bit less than that this week, 14.1%. Once again, that gets you to our old pal Cardano. Number 9 is Doge, 23.25 billion. Number 8, it's Tron, 28.33 billion. Number 7 is USD Coin, 74, almost 74.5 billion. Number 6, it's Solana, 79.5 billion. Number 5, it's BNB, 124.9 billion. Number 4, it's XRP, 125.3 billion. Number 3, it's Tether, 186.8 billion. Number 2, it's ETH, because of course it is 375 billion. And the big dog, BTC, down a wee bit since our last show, 1.83 trillion worth of market cap. Let's get out to number 2 on the charts. Number 1 potentially in a lot of your hearts, unless you've kind of wash your hands of it again. I get it. It's been a roller coaster ride over the past year. Not exactly for the timid or the faint of heart. What are we talking about? It's ETH. Down a little bit again since our last show. It was at 32.16 on our show last week. 31.09 this week. Down 107 handles on the week. That also puts it below where it kicked off this time a year ago. It kicked off January of last year, 33.32. So once again, we are down a wee bit on the year. Mr. Bill, it's been, I think it's fair to call it a challenging year with ETH. We had the highest of highs, but we also had the lowest of lows, and we had it all in a calendar year, so it was kind of exhausting. When you look back on the year that was, and indeed still is ETH, what stands out to you, sir?
There is this continuing debate between the public blockchains of Ethereum and private or federated blockchains, which is like a combination of a public and a private. And so not in terms of adoption. I mean, there's still really a great deal of time value locked in smart contracts in Ethereum. But once again, just as disappointing as Bitcoin has been, and potentially even XRP and other tokens that we chat about, Ethereum, I think, is suffering from just some complacency. Like it's been around since 2016, I think it was 2015. And I think people are looking for the juice. They're looking for new blockchains, new side chains, like Solana and Sui and other tokens that I think are a little bit more interesting. So I think Ethereum is kind of becoming like General Motors and IBM and like the old horse, like the names that are just, they've been around and we all know what they are. But again, kind of disappointing, even though we have had the exchange traded funds come on board in the last year or two in Ethereum. We'll see. It doesn't really do much for me because I'm always looking for something new, but maybe that's a bad thing.
Anything new lighting up the tape out here in ETH this week? Let's find out, listeners. Heading out to the vol, coming back down a little bit, 59.2 on the weekly vol last week, 51.7. So obviously a wee bit lower there. 30-day vol hanging out a little bit shy of 60 on the show last week, 59.75, down to about a 56. This week, so down 3.75 points there, and where the holders hang out 6 months and beyond, that vol was a 64.1 on the show last week, 63 even this week. Skew-wise, not looking ever so great for the bulls out here. It was pretty much flat on the weekly skew last week, which in and of itself was a bit of a triumph, a bit of a celebration for ETH bulls. They've been waiting for that skew to not be so decidedly bearish for a while. Well, bad news for you folks. Back to -3.05 to be precise, as we kicked off the show. So swinging into bearish territory yet again. And that is the case for the 30-day skew as well. We were getting close to flat there last week as well. -1.25 on the show last week, down to -3.25 this week on the 30-day skew. And where the holders hang out, -1 on the show last week, -1.75 this week. So all of our skew swinging towards the bearish yet again. I don't know, Mr. Bill, the options, at least for right now, not painting a explosive upside picture for ETH, sir, at least not in the near term.
Nor should they. I mean, Ethereum is trading at 3,120 on my screen. And that's what it was trading in May of 2021. I mean, this thing's done nothing except trade sideways. Yes, in 2022, it had a great pullback. Beginning of 2025 in January, big pullback, from 4,200 down to 1,500, which was your typical crypto pullback that shook the leveraged people out. But boy, oh boy, this thing is just done. This is a sleeper, Mark. Gone nowhere in 5 years, 4.5 years.
Mr. Bill, he's pronouncing it. He's saying ETH is dead. Stick your fork in it.
It's asleep. That's for sure.
Stick your fork in it. It is done out here, listeners. Well, let's see if some of the rest of our hot names out here are done, or if they are kind of roaring back to life. And if you're hanging out in Circle, it hasn't been the best of weeks out there. But you know what? Just since we started talking, I don't know, maybe Mr. Bill's optimism or perhaps his frustration. Either way, it is spilling over into Circle, because Circle seems like it's climbing its way back up ever since we started talking. It was down over about 3.5 points when we kicked off the show. As we're talking right now, 82.40, so down about 2.7. So rallying back about 70 to 80 cents out there. So again, nothing to sneeze at. And also We were hanging out right around 40,000 contracts on the tape when we kicked off the show, so kind of light volume day. The ADV is 93,000, down about 5,000, but up to about 66, almost 70,000 now. So Circle coming back to life a little bit, at least in the last few minutes. We'll see if this is a trend that can persist. 30-day vol in Circle at about a 65 right now. It's down about 6 points from where it was this time last week. The hot option right now in Circle, if you're wondering what is lighting up this tape right now and causing maybe some of this action, looks like it's about 4,000, 4,100 of the 175 puts. That is opening flow as well. So that is a bit of a wild one. Almost 100 handle in the money put. I don't see that too often. And if we get beyond that, we got about 3,800 of the 85 calls. That's more along the line of the flow that I expected. Those trading about almost 4,000 times today. Looks like an average price for those of about $1.45. So if you wanted to go buy a Circle 85 expiring at the end of the week right now, they're not giving it away. There's still about $1.50 worth of juice on those things. Mr. Bill, I know you've been slinging Circle. You mentioned it earlier in the show. That's one of the ones you keep an eye on. Well, what is catching your eye out there in Circle right now, sir?
Well, what's catching my eye is that the chart of Circle reminds me of Coinbase after their IPO, where it had like Circle, IPO'd around $75 a share, I think, rallied up to almost $300 a share. The peak price was roughly, let's put it at June 2025. And then it just absolutely got hammered down to $65 per share recently that we saw, let's call it November 19th, 2025. So it had an incredible decline, but the chart pattern on a point and figure looks very interesting. We're now starting to put in some higher lows. I think it's consolidating a little bit right now in the middle of its 10-week moving average, around $85 a share. I like Circle. I do believe that the Clarity Act will pass sooner rather than later, and I think that Circle will be the beneficiary of that because that's an institutional platform, all things considering, where companies can create their own personal branded stablecoin. And so the Stablecoin Act, I think Circle's a good shot down here. So we continue to, as you say, do that wheel trade. I mean, we've been rolling this thing down for a long time. We still own it. We haven't sold it yet, but we just keep chipping away at the option premium to reduce our initial cost basis. But I do like the way the chart pattern looks.
Are you liking this chart in Circle right now? Have you washed your hands of it? Have you been wheeling in all the way down? What have you been up to out in Circle? Hit us up. Let us know. As we check out some of the other hot names lighting up the Altcoin Universe this week, of course, got to talk Solana. Looking a little bit more robust as we kicked off the show. A little bit shy of 141 in Solana. It was 138 and about a quarter last week. Puts it up about 2 3/4 points from where it was this time last week. Tell Mr. Bill, tell his wife to cover her ears because not looking great in XRP. 227 on the show last week, 207 this week. So giving up a whopping 20 cents when XRP doesn't have that much to give back. So not a great week for the XRP champions out there. Doge at 15.1 cents last week, down to 13.8 cents this week. Litecoin, 83.79 last week, 76.07 this week, down about 7 3/4 points. Cardano, 41.6 cents last week, 39.2 cents this week, down about 2.3 cents on the week. And Polkadot, 219 last week, 207, so down about 12 cents. And of course, everyone's favorite, dare I say it, beloved Shiba Inu, 1 million zeros, 935 last week. This week, 1 million zeros, 848. So once again, can't afford those lug nuts on the hubcaps of your Shiba Lambos, at least not yet. Mr. Bill, before we roll out of here and get into the crypto questions and you fire up your crystal ball, before we do that, any other altcoin lighting up your tape you want to talk about, sir?
Yes. This just came across my desk over the weekend.
Ooh, I'm excited. What you got?
Okay, you ready? Now listen, I haven't looked into it except just for 5 minutes before the show. I don't own any, but I think I want to buy some, but it's only available on the Kraken exchange right now from what I can tell. Are you ready for this? Drum roll, please.
All right. Yeah, fire up the drum roll, editors, for Mr. Bill.
It is the Canton Network.
Oh.
Canton Network announced a relationship with the Depository Clearing Corp to put U.S. Treasuries on a blockchain. Now, it's not only interesting that that's involved, but who is involved? our friends at Cumberland Trading, our friends at Digital Assets, aka Don Wilson of DRW, Euroclear, a bunch of other names. Frankly, some I recognize and others that I don't. But it seems to me that as a big market making firm, as heavily in crypto as Cumberland and DRW has been, I'm not going to say they're exactly the same thing, but I think the founders of Cumberland were deeply entrenched in the DRW group. Forgive me if I'm wrong, but I think that's where it was. The Canton Network has about 400 participants across major banks, making it really one of the leading institutional blockchains for RWA, real world assets. So I find it interesting that, Euroclear, and I even think CBOE Ventures might have been a part of that. But I got to look a little bit more into that. It's trading around 14 cents per token. Market cap's around 5 billion. So it's actually, kind of up there already. And I'm going to be exploring it once I do the rest of my, RIA business. I think I might like to own a little bit of that, but I'm going to do some research in the Canton Network, and let's just see how it goes.
If you missed this one, listeners, you're not alone. It just came on the radar not too long ago. It started trading spot in November of last year, November of 2025. So you haven't missed too much. It kicked off, looks like it was around 14 to 15 cents, selling off in the nadir right around December 6th to about 6 cents before rallying all the way back to about 14 cents where it is right now. It's like it topped out around 17 cents, literally the first day of the new year, January 1st. So interesting stuff out here. So again, you didn't miss too much on this name. So only a couple of months out here, but perhaps this one intrigues you. Canton. So hit us up. Let us know if you are also intrigued. Speaking of letting us know, listeners, it is time to do just that in our crypto questions.
You've got questions about crypto. Who doesn't? It's time to find out the answers to your crypto questions.
All right, everybody, welcome to the crypto questions. And I'm going to get Bill to bust out his crystal ball in a second. But first, let's pay off our kick off the year sentiment polls out there for you folks. On the crypto side, we asked you last week, quite simply, very simple question. Will the major crypto assets, so Bitcoin, ETH, Solana, the big dogs, will they end the year higher or lower? Mr. Bill, this might put a smile on your face because you started the show talking about your frustration and your disappointment. And our audience typically tends to lean a wee bit bearish. I think it's fair to say. They are a bit of a cynical lot. But this time, Mr. Bill, they surprised me. 70.8% of the audience said the major crypto assets will end the year higher. Only 29.2% lower. I thought it might go completely the other way. So there you go. What do you say to that, sir? Does that put a smile back on your face?
Huge. I feel that makes me feel good because, the cryptocurrency markets can really be a buster up of self-esteem, and everything that you think ends up not to be true. And so thank you so much for that little voice of confidence and some inspiration going into 2026. I think that's great.
All these assets can be, what'd you call them? Buster uppers of self-esteem. I like that. We also asked you for your general New Year's trading and markets resolutions. Do you want to reduce your positions in AI, maybe explore some global markets, or maybe trade some new option strategies? And 37.5% went that route. You want to trade some new strategies. We had a tie, pretty much 25% each for number 2 between exploring global markets and dialing back some of your reliance on AI in your portfolio. 12.5% for other. We had some interesting write-ins. I won't get into all those right now because I want to pick Mr. Bill's brain on the question of the day. It just went live, Mr. Bill. Our annual crystal ball contest for volatility just went live. And guess what? You get to play along live here on the show. We're asking all of our listeners and all of our people on the network as well to submit their guesses. If you haven't done so yet, you have this week to do so, listeners. Get over there at Options on Twitter is where our official thread resides. You can also DM us there if you want to. Questions at theoptionsinsider.com. Also works if you don't want the entire world seeing your prognostication. I get it. Could be a little bit intimidating. And then once you do that, listeners, give us your exact closing print for VIX Cash at the end of the year, December 31st. And if you are within 1/10 of a point, which is our margin of victory on our Volatility View show, then you will enter the Volatility, indeed the Crystal Ball Hall of Fame, which we had four winners this year, which is wild. 2 from the network, 2 from the audience. And then you also, if you're on the audience side, you also win a pretty valuable prize, $600 prize, which is, of course, a year worth of Options Insider Pro. So again, really cool stuff out there. Mr. Bill, can you believe we had 4 winners this year, including Dan Gramza on the network and Rich Excel on the network? So wild stuff. I bought you some time, Mr. Bill. Have you had a few seconds to ruminate? What are you feeling for the end of the year, VIX Cash, or the close? What are you feeling?
I'm so bad at this, but I'm going to say 19.8125.
Wow, that's a lot of decimal points. 19.8125. All right. We'll put all the decimal points down for you, even though we really only count 2. But, we'll put them all down for you. Never let it be said that we truncated your VIX guess, listeners. Hopefully you got yours in there already. If not, listeners, at Options is the place to go to make your voice heard. All right, that is going to do it for the crypto rundown for this week. Man, quite a journey. We were a little disappointed in Bitcoin, not so sure about ETH. Then we got some other altcoins, maybe scrapping it together. Got some interesting action out there and other names like IBIT and Circle and MSTR. And of course, Bill's new favorite, Canton. And then we close with a little bit of fun. Vol guessing games. Get your name in the hat, listeners. You too can win fabulous prize. Who doesn't want to enter the Vol Hall of Fame? That's a pretty cool thing. Mr. Bill, who knows? Maybe this time next year, I will be handing you your major award, sir, on the Vol front. What do you think?
Maybe just an Option Insider piece of swag. That's all I think I really wanted. What is a fleece? I'll take that.
Maybe we should do the major award from A Christmas Story, the leg lamp. What do you think? That should be the major award. Everyone who wins gets a leg lamp.
Oh, that's hilarious.
I love it. In the meantime, sir, if folks maybe want to check out your book or they want to chat with you about all things crypto, where should they go? What should they do?
Sure, give our office a call at 847-686-4800. That's 847-686-4800. Look me up on LinkedIn. My goal for 2026 is to be a little bit more active on the social media side. So I want to be publishing and posting some trading ideas and things that I'm thinking about doing for our clients. And I think 2026 is going to be a good year, Mark. And so I appreciate being a part of your show in the beginning and hope that we have some wonderful things to talk about in the coming months.
Well, we appreciate having you on as well last year. Looking forward to a fun and indeed an interesting year in the crypto markets out there as well. Listeners, check out Mr. Bill over there at Cenacle Capital, Cenacle on the old social media. Check out his book while you're at it as well. And of course, while you're checking things out, check out our friends over there at Amber Data. Check out all of the sponsors we have on the network. Beginning of the year, a great time to go ahead and engage with all of the people who bring you this content week in, week out. They're the reason we've been doing this for 19 years now. This January marks 19 years. Absolutely wild. So there's a reason why we're able to keep doing this, because the folks who help bring all that content to you. Check them out over there at pro.amberdata.io. Tell them you heard about them on the Crypto Rundown. I guarantee you it'll bring a smile to their face, and it goes around in the virtuous circle of helping to bring more content to you folks out there. So it's a win-win for everybody. Pro.amberdata.io, the place to go to kick the tires and light the fires. Not done yet on the network. Back after the closing bell to talk all things Thor Odinson, aka the Hot Options Report. Then we're back with our rest of our content throughout the rest of a wild week until we're back again next Monday. Another episode of the Crypto Rundown. Stay safe out there, everybody.
The Crypto Rundown is brought to you by Amber Data. If you're entering the digital asset class, you'll need access to granular on-chain and market data from multiple venues to power research, trading, risk management, and compliance. Amber Data delivers comprehensive data and insights into blockchain networks, crypto markets, and decentralized finance, empowering financial institutions to apply traditional finance methods to digital assets. Amber Data eliminates the infrastructure setup, integration challenges, and maintenance headaches to access digital asset data, reducing cost and time to market to enter the digital asset class. Learn more and download their digital asset data guide at www.amberdata.io.
You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network. For more quality options programs, visit www.theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app, available in iTunes and on Google Play.